Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. Not only do we have a bunch of new info about Black Ops 6 Season 2 Reloaded, which does feature some new zombies changes, but we're also going to be discussing some new legal action being taken by Activision and some other general news from across the games industry. And before any of you ask, I've not posted a zombies video in 10 days. 10 days! What's happening? The simple answer is I think that Black Ops 6 right now is kind of dull. I think that the tomb wasn't as full of content as I was hoping it might be, and so I've been touching grass, and grass in this case happens to be Destiny 2. It's been a lot of fun getting back into the game. I'll be posting some more videos on it. You don't have to watch them if you just want the zombie stuff, that's fine, but zombie stuff will still be happening, don't you worry, I have not quit. Would love to see some of you guys in the Destiny streams though. They've been a lot of fun. So Season 2 Reloaded arrives on Thursday, February 20th at 9 a.m. Pacific, so that's 2 days from now. In MP, there's 2 maps, the TMNT Mosh Pit and some new loadout content. We are going to briefly touch on that stuff just because there's this map which has been getting a lot of interesting reactions on Twitter. It's called Bullet. It's set in a bullet train. And I've seen people like Charlie Intel being like, I don't know, is that a skeptical ... Is that like a, oh, come on, really ... Like, I'm not sure what that ... means necessarily, but there's been a lot of memes in response, right? Like, new map concept, hallway. It's real, hallway. But low-key, I kind of think that the idea is fairly cool. The idea of having a really narrow map like that. It's either going to be absolutely amazing or god-awful, but I like the idea that they're kind of experimenting, so yeah, thought I'd mention that. And then you've also got this Turtle Power Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles themed LTM as well. The Turtles overall are just the main theme of this season, really, it seems like, or rather this season Reloaded. There's a ton of stuff in here that's just all turtle-focused. You've got Shredder there as well, and we'll come back to some of the microtransactions available for that stuff in a moment. However, getting on to the meat and potatoes of the video, perhaps, zombies. We've got 2 things to look forward to in zombies for Season 2 Reloaded. One is Cowabunga Cranked, and the other is the Tomb Directed mode. We all know what the Tomb Directed mode entails, so won't worry too much about that, but we'll talk about Cowabunga now. So this is a new limited time version of Cranked, which we've seen several times in the past couple of years. This is a returning game mode, and the long and short of it is that you have a timer, and if the timer counts down to 0, you fail, your game ends, but you will tick the timer up by getting kills. And it gets harder and harder as the rounds go on. They say, thankfully, there are several pizza power-ups that can drop in the match, including Turtle Power, Pizza Box, and Slicer Pie. I'm sure Codename Pizza is going to be having an absolute blast with this mode. And they say all players in the mode are given the Donnie's Time Stopper field upgrade, which you can activate to pause the cranked timer for a full minute. It's also, weirdly, kind of pay to win. Obviously, it's an LTM, and like, there's not really winning involved, but the fact that if you deploy as a Ninja Turtle operator, you gain 50% reduced damage from behind because you have a turtle on your back. And then if you join a Splinter, you get increased chance for Slice of Pie to drop from eliminated enemies. That's, I don't know. I don't think I like that, because as far as I'm concerned, sure, it's an LTM, sure, there's no winning involved, it's not like someone else is losing out if you get those benefits. I still just don't really like the fact that a core gameplay feature of the mode is gated behind buying a skin. I'm just not really into that, to be honest. If you're gonna make us pay for the game mode. Don't strip things out of the game mode and give us like a worse version of the experience just because we're playing the free like, I just don't like it that way around, personally. But I'm curious to hear whether you guys care at all, or whether you're like, nah, doesn't make a difference to me. Let the people buy their skins and get less damage from zombies, like whatever. I'm really sort of keen to hear your thoughts on that. Now, the good news also is that main quests will be active in all the maps that this is on. It's on all of the maps in Black Ops 6 right now. And they've mentioned that you get a subtly different Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles version of each map's main quest completion calling card. And this is a mixed one, in my opinion, because it's good that there's any kind of reward. I think that that is actually really positive, and that does warrant some praise for Treyarch bothering to do that in the first place. We've complained a lot in the past that when they do an LTM or they do something like that, A, when they do an LTM or they do something similar, the main quest is just turned off completely, perhaps, or it doesn't really feel like there's any attention paid to the people that do grind the main quest if it is active. But now that we know that there is a reward, that's a step in the right direction. It's just that I personally absolutely hate these subtly different calling cards. Like, they do it with the early completions pre-directed mode as well, and I just don't think it's a good enough reward. Give me one of the turtles as the reward. Make the 3 turtles something that you have to buy, sure, whatever, but then make the 4th turtle something that you have to unlock by doing the main quest in the mode. It would be amazing! If you want people to be grinding up the numbers from whatever the 8% completion rate is for Easter eggs in Black Ops 6 right now, the way to do it is to put a freaking Donatello behind the Easter egg completion. It would be crazy! Especially on all 4 maps, it's an amazing opportunity to do it. But once again, we just get like a subtly different calling card that's just boring. So some praise here, but some critique as well. I also just want to quickly call out in this screenshot for the Tomb Directed mode, Maya is just sitting down, bro. When are we going to be able to just sit in zombies? I need this to be an actual game feature. Now, I did say we were going to skip over this directed mode section, but just real quick, I have to call out. They say, Season 2 Reloaded brings directed mode to the tomb. Explore the cursed catacombs, sure. But then they say, teleport to a world of chaos. Chaos. Even the blog post is teasing us with chaos now. So moving on from Tomb Directed, there are a couple of new weapons, for example, like a skateboard melee weapon. To be fair, that's kind of cool. And this actually brings us on to an important point, which is the fact that there's a free track and a premium track for all of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stuff. This is what it looks like. So the free track gets you this is what it looks like. So this is the free track. You get the melee weapon, you get the skateboard, and then you also will unlock the D1.3 sector, which I think fires like buzzsaws. But then in the premium track, you get this Splinter's Cane blueprint, which I think is pretty cool. And it also then ends up with you getting the Splinter Operator. And this is, again, very similar to what they did with Squid Game. And I pushed back on it with Squid Game because the game was in a really broken state at that point, and it just felt distasteful to be kind of covering the whole premium bundle type stuff at that time. And honestly, as much as the stability of the game has improved a lot in the last month, I still just do not like this model. Overall, I would much rather take the presumably 6 different corporate kind of collaborations that Call of Duty is planning over the course of the seasons this year and scrap them all just to get grief back. Like, that is a trade that I would make, and I think that if they took all the dev time that's going into all of this event pass stuff and they put that towards grief, for example, I think that they'd easily be able to get that turned around in time. And that's why I'm like, I just don't really feel like I can promote the event pass, or I can promote all this LTM stuff that they keep doing, because it's promoting a direction for the game that I just don't like. I don't like this weird brand collaboration thing where they make really phoned in weak LTMs in favor of just actually putting dev time into making good content for the ongoing live service for this game. I think that as a general consensus opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, but as general consensus, I think many of us were really impressed with Black Ops 6 at launch. Terminus and Liberty Falls as a launch offering was actually very strong when the game came out and we all got to play it and experience it and go, you know what? This actually is pretty good. But I think that the live service component of this game has been pretty weak overall. We've seen so many bugs happening. And then granted, we've had zombies maps on an accelerated cadence compared to normal, which is amazing. Don't get me wrong, that is unbelievably cool. But like Citadel coming out early and then being really broken is less cool, right? Like, it sort of dampens it. And then all this other stuff that's happening that's just like really weird and mid, in my opinion, is also just a bit of a dampener on what could otherwise be a really sick live service if we were getting some zombies LTMs right now, like Grief, for instance. It doesn't have to be Grief, but Grief just as an example, that would be something that the zombies community would, I think, resonate with a little bit more, I think. But again, let me know your thoughts on that. My plan is still more or less the same, though. I don't think I'm going to cover the LTM, just like I avoided covering the red light, green light LTM for Squid Game. I just don't think that it's my vibe right now. I don't know. And also, all the turtles are individual bundles, and I've seen a lot of people critiquing them for that. On the one hand, I get it, right? Like, they are sort of individual characters, and certain people might only want one turtle, for example, and so you don't want to be paying an elevated price for 4 turtles if you could just buy one individually. But I have seen other people being like, come on, bro, it's literally just a turtle that's got a different color on it? Like, why can't that just all be one bundle? Which I think is also a fair comment and a fair critique here. The last thing in the blog post that I think worth mentioning is this invite drop, join the Call of Duty Recon Squad. It's very weird. So they've basically devised this new program, which says our commitment to community feedback remains unwavering and ongoing as we strive within our continuing mission, making our games social and fun. We truly value your opinions and feedback on what matters to you. With this in mind, and in addition to the usual methods of comms, our players now have a new way to give feedback. Introducing the Call of Duty Recon Squad. While playing Call of Duty, you may be invited to join the Recon Squad operated by Fuel Cycle. The Call of Duty Recon Squad is a Fuel Cycle research community that will be active throughout the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Call of Duty Warzone seasons. You'll have opportunities to provide feedback through surveys, online community discussion boards, and potentially even invited to focus groups. Best of all, any feedback you provide will earn points in the Recon Squad that you can redeem for BO6 and or Warzone in-game items. Fuel Cycle community research topics will be centered on recently released Black Ops 6 and Warzone content and many other topics relating to COD. We're interested in hearing what you have to say about recent maps, modes, and other seasonal content from our games. This Fuel Cycle community is invite only, so you won't be able to forward this to any of your friends or family to have them sign up, so any invite you receive is just for you. All types of players are being invited, no matter the modes or number of hours you play. We want to hear from you, and if you receive an invite from Call of Duty via the email related to your Activision ID, don't miss out on this chance to have your voice heard and score some in-game items as a result. The first thing, maybe the most important thing to focus on in this entire thing, what is it? Just think for a second. What is the most important takeaway from what we've just read? I think some of you guys are going to think that my tinfoil hat is like too tightly attached to my head here, but my opinion is that the most important takeaway is the fact that they will be emailing out invites to this program, and I guarantee that will mean scammers will fake emails to people saying that you are now in the Recon Squad, and they will phish your personal details, they'll phish your passwords, etc. They'll send malware to your PC, I don't know, but they'll do something via fake emails. I just know that this is going to happen. If it was an in-game invite, fine, no worries there, easy peasy. Maybe it will be that as well, but the fact that they specify that it's going to be via email here just makes me worried that people are going to end up getting cyber attacked. And maybe it's just me being paranoid, don't get me wrong, but I just wanted to call out, if you get an email like this, please quadruple check. I mean, I gain nothing from saying this. I benefit nothing from saying this, but I just want to make sure that you guys are covered. Please quadruple check the actual email ID that it's coming from. Make sure that it looks exactly like the official emails do. Like, just make sure it's real, because I don't want you guys getting hacked. That would suck. So, with all of that said, I think that in theory, this is a pretty interesting idea from Call of Duty. Like, I don't really know what to expect, but previously in-game, we have had little survey pop-ups before saying like, oh, did you enjoy that match of multiplayer, right? Like, that's been a thing in Call of Duty for actually quite a long time now. And so the fact that they're just sort of operationalizing it and turning it into a program type thing seems fine to me. There's an element of cynicism, I guess, around the way that Call of Duty is treating staff that's getting laid off, for example, staff from Microsoft as well as from Activision being laid off, QA testers being laid off, etc. So there's some cynicism there where I'm like, is this just trying to get the general public to basically be a sort of soft QA audience or soft QA group? Like, is that sort of an underlying goal here? Like a sort of secret subversive interest or intention? But that is a very cynical viewpoint, right? Like, that is, again, some sort of paranoia just based on the fact that we know that Microsoft has laid off loads of QA testers, and maybe they're just unwilling to pay focus testers. They're unwilling to pay for the sort of feedback that they might otherwise get in the design process to help inform their decisions here, and instead they just want the community to do free labor for them. Like, but again, that's such a cynical view. On the other hand, I spend all day long making content that's like feedback content, right, about Black Ops 6, and I'm trying my best always to amplify your voices when I do that. And so giving you guys more power to directly feedback to Call of Duty via this Recon Squad sounds amazing. Like, that sounds like great news. I don't think the Recon Squad is going to help necessarily sort of feedback on stuff that needs to be changed within 24 hours. I suspect that this is going to be quite a slow process for general, almost like macroeconomic changes to the game game. Like, okay, in Black Ops 7, are we going to do bundles like these bundles, for instance? Like, they'll ask questions on those sorts of things. Like, how much are you enjoying the bundles this year compared to last year? But as far as I'm concerned, any extra path for feedback is good. That is positive. So I think overall, I support this, and I'm excited to see how it goes. I'm definitely curious to see what the sort of output ends up being. So let's talk about some community opinions based on some of the stuff that's coming in the patch on the 20th. Sulky says, the LTM seem lazy. I'd much rather have 2 permanent detailed modes over 10-week LTMs. Preach. 100% agree. There's also this really weird thing, which is that Scarlet, right, which this very, very clearly is, seems to be returning in Black Ops 6 because this is one of the LTM screenshots that they have in the blog, and it's just obviously Scarlet. I mean, this is Scarlet in Black Ops 4. It's very obviously the same woman, but the assumption here is that it's actually a Maya skin, right? And if you turn the character around here, it's just going to be Maya's face. And it's weird that they're doing this because it feels like it completely cheapens all of the Chaos story involvement that they're trying to do with the Black Ops 6 story. Like, again, I don't want to just sit here and sound like I'm complaining about the skin because honestly, I think Scarlet is sort of becoming a fan favorite Chaos character. And so having a chance to play as her and as an operator is not the end of the world. That might be kind of cool. That might be kind of cool for some people. It's just that for me, they introduced Scarlet for the first time in Black Ops 6 in a radio in the tomb, right? And there have been some mentions of her father, and that's been going back to Vanguard, but it's been a very slow build, and we're going through Sentinel artifact stuff now, etc., etc. And it just feels weird to me that as we're very, very gradually stepping back in to that Chaos universe and pulling elements from it, they're then just like slapping us across the face with this Scarlet skin for Maya. Like, I don't know, there's just some ludonarrative dissonance there that I think could have so easily just been avoided. And it also weirdly means that Scarlet will definitely not be a playable character with specific zombies' voice lines in the same way that Weaver, Carver, Grey, and Maya are voiced characters in zombies, right? Like, they do have narrative-specific lines. This basically means that Scarlet won't be, and I feel like we shouldn't know that now because Scarlet's been mentioned. It would be cool if she turned up and then she became a voiced character, but I don't know. I get maybe they can't do voiced characters that are additional to the original 4 that we've already got because then she would have to have voice lines for the first several maps, but they could easily just have her not have lines for those maps. I don't know. I think this is weird, personally. I just don't really vibe with this, but let me know your thoughts. Am I just being a negative Nancy or am I valid? Now, something I need to bring up that I still believe has not been fixed. I could be wrong, but I think it's not been fixed, which is that when the tomb came out, people had their leaderboard progress and their general barracks stat tracking really like wiped or just messed up. So Waymiss here says, I had over 1,000 games played in zombies. Now it only says 450 and I lost a ton of stats. IMAX had the same problem. I said this was introduced with the tomb, right? IMAX said yes. And I said, okay, I'll get it on their radar. This is me getting it on their radar. Treyarch, please, are you aware of this? If you are aware of this, let us know. Give us a tweet, give us something just to let us know that all of this data that people have been building up on their accounts over the last 6 months hasn't just been halved arbitrarily. Like, there is a lot of data missing right now. As far as I'm aware, it would be good to make sure that this does get absolutely fully rectified because I believe it's not rectified for some people still. Now then, let's talk about the drama with Nanakos here. So, Nanakos has been in the community for a very long time and posts some leak type stuff and also does some kind of code snooping around for things like side quest Easter eggs and like a bunch of other bits and pieces. And Nanakos tweeted out links to Black Ops 3 design documents that got leaked a few weeks ago. And so we had these leaks come out and it was actually pretty incredible. Like, from the zombies community's perspective, being able to see actual design documentation for maps that we hold so close to our hearts is awesome. Honestly, it's a peek behind the curtain that is incredible, but clearly from Activision's perspective, it's a peek behind the curtain that we should have never gotten. And so they've filed a legal notice and taken down not just one post from Nanakos, but they've also taken down a second post from Nanakos here, and they've taken down all these individual screenshots, and they've taken down the download link to the Black Ops 3 files that were being shared. And weirdly, The name of the claimant is Ian Pickles, and the rights holder represented is IR USA. So I don't know really what the deal is with Ian Pickles, but it seems like Nanocos might be in a little bit of a pickle here. I hope that Nanocos has not been like cease and desisted or something from this, because I know that Activision is very vindictive when it comes to this sort of stuff. So hopefully they're kind of taking a chill pill on this particular one. But yeah, those documents are out there now, as are loads of dev builds for Origins, and like all sorts of stuff for Black Ops 2 is leaking. And I don't know, there seems to be a massive wave of leaks happening for old builds and design docs right now. And it's a bit of a treasure trove. I haven't dived into it yet because I'm scared of this sort of stuff happening to me. Like, I don't want to strike on my YouTube channel. And I don't think Activision would give me the courtesy of messaging me first to tell me that sort of thing. I think they would just like punch me in the face and ask questions later. But at some point I will try and find a way to sort of approach this kind of content in a way that is safe. And obviously I'll let you guys know when that happens. Make sure you're subbed so you don't miss it. Now, speaking of leaks, but not for past leaks here, speaking for future leaks now, it seems like, according to Ghost of Hope, there are 3 round-based maps left for Black Ops 6 Zombies. And that doesn't really make sense if we take the usual model into account, which is that we would get 4 DLCs total, because we've already had Citadel and the Tomb, so there should be 2 left, right? But it seems like one of the future seasons will not have a map, but then Black Ops 6 Zombies total will end with 7 round-based maps at the end of its life cycle. I've heard that the maps from this year's game may carry forward to this year's Black Ops game as well. So that's Black Ops 2025, and that would be possible, I guess, because it's going to be on the same engine, so it's going to be much easier to just sort of port things over. It would also make sense, seeing as 2025 is rumored to have Outbreak content in it, and so if we get a year of Outbreak, being able to still play all of these maps on the current Call of Duty, where they're going to be selling their skins, bear in mind as well, is a perfect scenario in my opinion. I think that works pretty well. We can still play the old maps on the most recent version of the game while also getting new content in the form of Outbreak stuff. Like, that's great. And honestly, 7 round-based maps in a year, that's fantastic. I am not complaining about that at all. I think that the most likely thing is that we get no new round-based map in Season 3, and instead, Warzone just takes the spotlight, and then Season 4, 5, and 6 all have a zombies map. That is my assumption, but again, I don't have any insider information on that point. That is just what my guess is based on this suggestion from Ghost of Hope. Moving on real quick, I just wanted to give a very quick shout out to Bango, who's posted this teaser for what is presumably an upcoming Call of Duty Zombies mod map, but it's Fallout inspired. Looks pretty cool. Bango's stuff is always incredibly high quality, so it looks like we can expect that later in 2025. And then on to games industry drama, the likes of which I am stunned to see. So Marvel Rivals has been insanely successful, like insanely successful. And yet NetEase has just laid off the game director of Marvel Rivals, as well as his Seattle-based team. And there is a blog post here from Tadius Sasser, and he says, "This is such a weird industry. My stellar talented team just helped deliver an incredibly successful new franchise in Marvel Rivals for NetEase, and we were just laid off." And to be fair to Tadius, he is really approaching this with a positive mindset, because he's saying, oh well, times are tough all over. Let's find these incredible people new jobs. He's already trying to find new jobs for the people on his team that got laid off. Like, that, I think, deserves a round of applause. I don't know anything else about Tadius, so your mileage may vary on the rest of his output into the world, but he was certainly very successful in Rivals, and I think that the fact that he's giving sort of personalized employee testimonials here is wonderful. That is really lovely to see. It does make me worry for the state of the games industry. I mean, when a game is this successful and there's a whole team being laid off, like, it kind of makes it feel like nobody is safe. I kind of feel for all my friends in industry that are working as developers at various games or whatever it might be. They're working in publishing departments or whatever. Like, just across the board, it seems like the only way you keep your job in the industry is if you're a blood-sucking vampire who is sitting in a C-suite somewhere and you don't care about anybody else. Like, that's where the job security is, seemingly. And it's dreadful. And I worry about what this is going to do to the likelihood for us to get innovative projects from developers in the future. Like, are they going to take risks ever if even when successful, the environment is this terrible? I don't think they are. And risk is going to be where innovation comes from, right? So I think that this is just generally a net really dangerous precedent for the industry to continue to slip into. And I hope that it can find some footing soon, but it seems like the bottom is not yet in, and there's going to be a lot more layoffs yet to come, I'm sure, over the course of the year, unfortunately. So that's the news update for today, folks. Let me know all of your opinions on all of the topics. And again, I'll be continuing to cover zombies as and when it feels like there are relevant things to discuss, talk about, showcase, play, Easter eggs to solve, etc. But in between, I will be covering lots of random other stuff just to keep me occupied in the meantime. And some of that is going to be Destiny. So I've got a link on screen just here to a Destiny video that you guys can click through to check some Destiny out. I did a whiteboard video with Bife. It was a story video. It was a great time. It's perfect if you don't know anything about Destiny as well. It will kind of help start getting you up to speed maybe. So click through now and I'll see you there.